I want to share some really empowering ways in which highly sensitive people can better respond to narcissists. And notice that I said the word respond and not react. And it's really important for us to be very clear and understand the differences between those two words, because this is specifically where our power lies. The most important thing to remember, first and foremost, is that they want us to engage. They want to trigger emotions. They want us to emotionally overreact. The moment we get caught up and we react instead of respond, they've sucked us into their drama. And I think we've all been there before, because afterwards we just feel so awful. And we might be confused, we will absolutely feel depleted, exhausted, we'll feel irritated, we might even feel panicked. But this is the reaction that our body will give us, that our energy has been pulled into their conflict. There is nothing mutual about a relationship with a narcissist. It's more based on a dynamic of master-servant, superior-inferior. The narcissist is not interested in the real you. If they can't control you, you mean nothing to them. For your own mental health and to preserve your sanity, keep all communication with this person to a minimum. In fact, severing all contact is the most empowering option. If, however, you need to speak with this person, keep all communication brief, to the point, minimal. Do not share any personal details, because all information will be used against you. Also remember, you are not there to justify. You are not there to defend. Don't take things personally. Just step back and observe this person as if you were watching a movie. How this person is actually trying to hook you in, how they're wanting to emotionally engage you. And just remember that a narcissist has a completely different map of reality. They have no idea about boundaries. So any emotional reaction from you will actually feed this behavior. It'll perpetuate the problem. And just observe that this is a part of their neurotic drive for total power and control of you. When you speak with a narcissist, maintain your eye contact. You need to speak confidently. You need to make definite statements and be very concise. Don't be passive. Do not be ambiguous. They have very short attention spans. They will change the subject and they will look for any signs of weakness because they want to feel that they are dominating you. So speak with clarity and confidence. A really empowering tool for all of us to remember is to stay connected to our breath. So as you're watching this show unfold, and it's going to be a very dramatic one, take some slow, deep breaths, because that connects you to the present moment and it helps you to stay more mindful. And also in that moment, you can start noticing certain signs of stress that your body is giving you. So you can start observing that maybe your heart rate is raised. Maybe your whole body has tensed up and you're getting a bit of a headache. Your stomach is in knots. Your fight or flight response has been activated. So just observe it. Don't attach to it. Allow it to be. Don't judge yourself. Do your best to stay present. And another really empowering way to reconnect to our body when you find yourself in this situation. And a doctor told me this years ago when I was a little girl and I was going through a lot of medical procedures and it was really frightening. And so he kindly said to me, pay attention to your toes. Wriggle your toes. What do your toes feel like? And straight away my mind went to my toes. Wow, I'm aware of my toes. So he managed to divert my attention to my toes, so I wasn't fully focused on what was in front of me that could have been really threatening or really fearful. So when we're dealing with a really frightening confrontation with a narcissist, we often lose our connection to our body. And so by staying connected and present in the moment with our breath, focusing on a body part like wriggling our toes, we maintain our power and we don't allow our energy to be drawn into this big tornado that's happening just over there. So detach and observe and just depersonalize. And as you're standing there fully present in the moment, do not give them any emotion whatsoever, because any emotion will be used to be manipulated. So none whatsoever. Just have a neutral facial expression. One of the most empowering things that you can do, and what will really upset the narcissist, is your indifference. So I want you to remember that word, to be indifferent. Whatever they say, they do, you're just indifferent. You offer no judgment. There's nothing there. And as you stand firm in your observation, don't resist what is. They are showing you who they are, and you have a choice to either buy into that reality or not. Narcissists will also want to do everything they can to control your attention. So they will exaggerate, they will fabricate, they will use some really graphic terms or phrases to get an emotional response and to get your attention toward what they want you to focus on. So just stand there and observe as they try to plant seeds of doubt, as they attack or minimize or exaggerate or try and make you fear. Of course, there's going to be a sprinkle of guilt and shame, so they can manipulate you to do something that may not feel right for you. So narcissists want to emotionally dysregulate us. One of the most empowering things that we can do is maintaining our focus on the positive and staying strong in our peaceful frequency. So regardless of what's going on over there, we emit a frequency of our own, and that is of groundedness, of peace. We know with certainty that nothing can touch us unless we allow it. And this person is just doing a really great job at trying to reel us into something that we don't really want to be a part of. And we certainly might feel very triggered because they know all the right buttons to press. So always focus back on your breath and just try and zone out everything that's coming out of their mouth. Because when we focus on our breath, that creates distance and detachment. Some really great things to say to take your power back are things like, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way." You can also diffuse the conversation and bring it to an end by saying things like, "I guess I just have to accept that that's how you feel." So basically, you're validating their reality, you're not defending it, you're not justifying, so you're not getting drawn into them. You're actually keeping and maintaining your own power. Other terms that are really great to consider are things like, "Your anger is not my responsibility." And make sure you say this in a very calm and even tone. No emotion behind those words, and take slow, deep breaths. You can use terms like, "That's really interesting. Well, it is possible. Perhaps it could be true." And comments like that really scrambles them because they are so used to us just emotionally being triggered and reacting and flaming this huge drama. Other really great responses are things like, "Well, I have no right to control how you choose to see me." And these comments are really great at neutralizing the intensity of this conversation. It's really empowering to us highly sensitive people because we're simply not engaging and we're showing them that we won't be manipulated. Another great way to conclude the conversation with a narcissist is just to say, "Well, it seems like we both feel really strongly about our perspectives and we're both entitled to have our opinion. So let's just agree to disagree." And that's it. That's it. You decide the full stop of that conversation. If the narcissist is still really argumentative and insists on continuing in his explosive manner, then you could say something like, "I'd like to maintain this relationship on equal grounds that are based on mutual respect, and I'd love to come up with some sort of solution that works for us both. So perhaps when you're feeling a lot calmer, please feel free to give me a call later on." So this statement, again, is us taking our power back. We're saying what we're deserving of, which is a relationship between two equals based on mutual respect. And if they want to communicate anything, it needs to be from a calm state. Another really effective tactic when dealing with a narcissist is to appeal to their self-interest. Remember, everything is about them. So they tend to look at the whole world in the attitude of what's in it for me. So it's their way or the highway. So you could say something like, well, in order for me to do what you want me to do, I actually need some time away to sit with it and to make my decision. So I'm just going to leave and I'll come back this afternoon when I'm sure you'll be in a calmer state, won't you? And we can discuss this further. So again, you're acknowledging that they are not in a calm state, that you would prefer for them to be in a calm state. You can also say things like, well, I notice that you're upset. I'm just going to go out over there and do a crossword or do some gardening, and then maybe when you've calmed down, then we can talk. So you're basically teaching them how to treat you, what you expect. When they're choosing to use this way to communicate with you, you're basically saying it's not acceptable to me, and I will only communicate with you when you are in a calm state. They need to know that there are consequences of their actions. You going away creates space, detachment, and distance, and it gives you time to recenter yourself. And this is also part of boundary work. They have no consideration. They think they can talk to you in whatever way they want, for how long. They can just dump whatever story suits them. They want you to believe this horrific, graphic, awful reality, and they have no consideration of your feelings. Basically, there's no boundaries there. So you take your power back, you set a boundary, and you don't negotiate on that boundary. This is your preference. And if they want to have a relationship with you, they need to consider that preference and respect your choice. And it's going to take a lot of practice to stand your ground and to not emotionally react. And after every single one of these confrontations, and as you get better dealing with these confrontations, make sure not to suppress those emotions that you felt when you were in that confrontation, but do it in an appropriate time and place. You know, you need to release those emotions, which is basically energy in motion. Because if you repress it, suppress it, pretend it didn't happen, minimize it, or deny it, those emotions are going to cause dis-ease in your body. So you want to release them. So scream in your car, go punch a pillow, write in your journal. Getting our emotions out is also really important for highly sensitive people because it helps us maintain that mental equilibrium. If we don't get it out, it stays in our head and we can just think about it and get drawn into a drama mentally of how we could have done things differently, how we should have done things differently, and it leaches away at our precious energy. So get it out, see it on paper, release it, be done with it. Don't keep replaying that scene because this is still a continuation of their control over us. And I think the most empowering thing to remember from all of this is not to resist what is. I'm not saying to endure this, but by changing our perspective and realizing that we have choices and we can better navigate communication with narcissists, this is where we take our power back. We don't feel victimized after these exchanges. We need to find a perspective that feels better for us. And the whole point of these exercises is to get to a point of no resistance, neutralize, let it go, because energetically, what we resist will persist. So just energetically try and create a flow around these sort of communications. It's not easy and it's going to take a lot of practice, but these are some really great tools. Another really great tool that us highly sensitive people have at our disposal is the use of our very vivid imagination. So when the narcissist confronts you, straight away, imagine roots coming out from your feet, firmly implanting you in the ground. Imagine a powerful white, bright light shining over you. Also, Imagine a very thick glass wall separating you and the narcissist. And these visuals, when we choose to use the power of our very vivid imagination, these visuals will help us to remain grounded and focused. You can also choose to imagine the person in front of you who's desperately wanting your attention, who's trying to trigger you and provoke you and initiate an emotional reaction from you. See them as a 3-year-old toddler having a tantrum. They are emotionally stunted and they try and continue using these completely inappropriate methods to get their way in the world. Perhaps you can even minimize their size and imagine a tiny little cartoon character just spinning out of control. You can change the voice that you're hearing from them. In that moment of observation, you can choose to imagine whatever you want. Whether you imagine yourself as Mount Everest, unshakable, in your frequency, whatever it takes, you get to choose. We are never at the mercy of anybody else's moods, and this is really great practice for us highly sensitive people. It may not be easy because we're used to reacting to other people's moods, other people's tantrums. This is where we lose our power. Nobody and nothing can affect us unless we allow it. Please, let's remember that. And these are just opportunities for us to practice. I hope you found some of these tips helpful in your situation, and I look forward to sharing some more empowering insights on how we can develop mental strength and improve our ability to regulate our emotions and manage our thoughts so we can remain in our power despite our circumstances.